coming to you live from Toronto. Let me do that again. Hello, everybody. This is Shaney Entertaining coming to you live from Toronto, Canada. Doing my regular Thursday live streams as per usual. And now I got to shut myself up. I like to test my little the sound, and the sound is fine. So away we go. Yibbity do. Hey everybody. So today I got a lot of interesting topics for us today, guys, because this is a topic I've wanted to do for a while. But it's kind of hard. There's a lot of different topics, from Star Wars to Star Trek to all these other things that always sort of get in the way. But you kind of want to do these topics of the thing is that most people who tend to come on to my YouTube channel live streams, a lot of them are YouTubers. And if I would say most of them are YouTubers. And let me just adjust this old camera thing. Most of them are YouTubers. And so that's the thing. And I figured something that we could all kind of relate to, in a discussion that we can all sort of have that might help us all out. And that's discussion about YouTube itself. I mean, I've had a YouTube discussion before where it was, I think the last time I did discuss YouTube, it was about, is it dying? But I don't want to talk about is it dying or anything like that. What I want to talk, hello there, Stormtrooper babe, how are you? You love my shirt because it's Pac-Man and he is filled with toxic masculinity. I don't know. Because he's a man, so he's definitely got toxic masculinity in this world of ours. How you doing? Long see no time. Bumblebee tuna. So that's just kind of our thing. So that's what I wanted to discuss today, is about YouTube, and the fact that I think we should all discuss this sort of topic together. Because there's a lot of things about YouTube that people don't know. Even if you're only a viewer of YouTube, and you just are a consumer of our content, it's also interesting. It should be interesting to understand, what it goes through, what it means to be a YouTuber, how the work we put into it. And the question is that I ask everybody is it worth being a YouTuber sometimes? There is a lot of work that goes in being a YouTuber. And a lot of us have jobs, believe it or not. A lot of us work, and so to fit work into being a YouTuber is especially when you have to do a lot of editing, filming time, get equipment that sometimes is expensive. You think ring lights just grow on trees, guys? Ring lights are great. They're good. They sharpen the picture a little bit. I see you, but I can't. But you can't see me. I see you more than you know. You see more of me than I know. That's kind of spooky. I don't know what that means. I'm like I feel kind of creeped out a little. No, I'm just kidding. I see you more than you see me. Toriel G, how be thee? You're always there for me. So the question, guys, I ask everybody is this, is like, is it worth it being a YouTuber? And I guess to answer that question, for me personally, and I don't only want to be the only one to answer this question, because I know that there are a lot of you guys that are YouTubers as well. Black Cat Cinephile, what's up? So speaking of YouTubers, here's another YouTuber, Black Cat Cinephile. Check out his channel. Check out Toriel G's channel, guys. I always say that, but there's like 4 people here, so I'll say it again when there's more. So the thing is it worth doing YouTube? And that's the question that I've been trying to get out of here, but I'm waiting for more people to come before I get into the meat and potatoes of my things. I'm always going to repeat myself, but I'll probably end up doing it anyway. So like my question is for me and everybody else is like, what do you want to get out of YouTube? As a YouTube creator and also as a viewer? And that's an important question, because I find that that's the one thing that is lost from both creators and fans of YouTube, is what do you want to get out of YouTube? And I think a lot of times people just consume things because it becomes habit, and people do things, and not only because doing things becomes habit, but doing things sometimes you get the waters get muddied. Like why I started out to do something isn't why I'm doing it now, or this sort of takes over. You know what I mean? Getting into this sort of community, then the community sort of takes over, and then you belong to the community, and then that community guides you, and no longer are you doing what you set out to do. You're doing what you sort of feel like you're forced to do to an extent. Black Cats Info. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just using YouTube for free advertising, but it's not free because of all the work it takes. Exactly. It takes a lot of work, and it's not necessarily free. Guy Harrison, I'm worth it, and doggone it, people like me. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Wasn't that guy Smiley? Not Guy Smiley. Wasn't that something Smiley from SNL back in the day? I can't remember his exact name. You used to look at the mirror and go, I'm good enough. I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Yeah. That has been a while since I've heard that. I forgot the name of that guy. I think wasn't the name of that SNL sketch Good Intentions or something? I can't remember. It used to talk about I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. Anyway, yeah. So why did we get involved? Like Black Hat Cinephile said, he's using it for advertisement, and that's actually a good idea. I mean, if you're a writer, which he is, doing YouTube is a good idea to advertise and to being on people's channels and networking. It's a great reason for being on YouTube. See, that's the thing. A lot of people crap on YouTube because YouTube is this, and YouTube demonetizes me here, and but YouTube is actually a gift, and it is and it's an underappreciated gift to all of us. Because it's something that I think it's a really valuable thing that has been granted to us. It's something that we as creators, people who have a voice, people who have a talent, be it writing, being whatever, is given us this sort of gift to display something and give us the potential to spread our word or spread what we want to say to a global market or to a group of people, and that is, yeah, and it does. Sorry, Toriel G says, yeah, and it does help if you are likable. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're likable, but the funny part is, I mean, I'm going to get to that soon enough, is that YouTube appeals to a lot of things. It appeals to being likable, and somehow the people who are unlikable also tend to get a lot of views as well, because what it does is it actually like we're the fans of it, and the people who are the fans and the consumers are the ones that sort of dictate everything. They're the ones who drive the market. So if you're driving the market on, say, negative news, we all complain, it's like, why is the news always so negative? Why is I turn on CNN and it's nothing but car crashes, shootings, and terrorist attacks? No one talks about the firefighter who climbs up 3 flights of stairs to save the burning baby in his crib. They don't talk about that guy. They talk about is the mother who left her in the crib. And that's what their focus is on. And that's a reflection of the viewer. That's a reflection of what we want to consume. Because a lot of us are attracted to that sort of negativity. And that's kind of like it's unfair. I mean, it's unfair, and it's sort of something that we don't. I think a lot of us know is going on, but we sort of just can't help ourselves. It's why Jerry Springer's show has always made a ton of money, because people just like the spectacle of weirdness, and we like to see disasters for some reason. It's just it's I don't know. It's part of human nature that is something that we sort of have to work on as a people. But YouTube is no different from any of that, and that's the thing too. So you could be a unlikable person who goes out there and just talks all kinds of crap, and and it doesn't matter how many dislikes this person has, he'll probably get as much. He'll get as much, if not more attention, probably more attention for that than would say a guy who comes out and preaches nothing but the good word every day. And that's unfair. I mean, that's not unfair, but that's just the world it is. That's just where we are. And so we gotta sort of deal with that. And that's why there's got to be balance to things as well. Even ourselves, I try to balance my channel with, talking about complaining about things and trying to give entertainment value at the same time. It's always a balance that I'm trying to do in my channel. Like is this, how far is too far? How much is too much? Complaining or negativity. And so I always try to outweigh some of that with some positivity. And that's why I do videos like this, where we talk about positive things. Because here's the thing. When I started out doing YouTube a while back, I had started an idea for a show, a series that I wanted to do. In here in Canada, I wanted to pitch it to the television networks. It was called Unsportsmanlike Conduct, and it was, I did a really crappy sort of makeshift first pilot episode that I was just going to show as a concept, and then write it down and whatever. And I played the roles of all the characters except for one. And it's still on my channel if you guys want to check it out. It's a 22-minute show that I work. It's basically mostly about hockey and stuff that I relate to here in Canada. So and I wrote it, and I did it as an advertisement. I used my character that I put on the show, and I started talking about things, mostly hockey related at first, using that character. And he was that guy with the mustache. I don't know if you've ever seen it on my channel. He's this. And I left him there just for nostalgia purposes, because he's just, Shane McDonald, and he used to talk like this and talk very gruffly, right? And that was what he was. Okay, Guy Harrison, it's something to think about. The person being taken advantage of is as much to blame as the person taking advantage. Well, yeah, I mean, that's something I've also said before too. It's I think that sometimes let's also try another way of saying, like, people who are victims or play the victim, not play the victim, but are victims, sometimes are victimized by their victimhood, and they become, and so in some ways they allow the, there's like in some weird way, victim mentality can make you more of a victim than if you were to take responsibility for things. And there are real victims in this world. I'm not saying, there are real victims in this world, but, there is also people who are always consider themselves victims in every situation. And that's going to get us into the SJW talks. And so I'm trying to steer away from that today, just because we've done a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, here when we are like, okay, for example, reason why I want to get onto this topic is because I want us to understand and want us to focus on success. For you, me, for the people who are watching this, who like our content, because to be fair, we want to put the best content for the people that watch us and consume our stuff. And at the same time, we also need direction for what we want to accomplish, right? And like I said, sometimes this whole it's a very noisy place. The World Wide Web. It's a noisy place. Twitter. It's a noisy place. Any online place you're going to go, it's a very noisy place, and there's all different opinions, and there's different voices screaming in this ear and in that ear, and it's really difficult to stay on track and stay on focus, and to do what you set out to do, as a YouTuber, as a creator, as a person who's advertising for something, for whatever the purpose is you wanted to do YouTube. And also, why did you come onto YouTube? Did you come onto YouTube just to hear people complain, or did you come onto YouTube to hear people do, funny things, entertaining things? Did you come to YouTube to hear, opinions on movies or stuff like that? And so, but and then along the way, somehow you got maybe sidetracked with a lot of negative stuff, and that became a bit of an addiction. And so that's sort of like what we kind of have to regulate in ourselves, what we want to consume compared to what we want to also give out. And there's a relationship there between the consumer and the creator that we sort of have to, sometimes get to the meat and potatoes of what we're here to do, and what we want to accomplish and what we want YouTube to become. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at YouTube and the future of YouTube, and I don't like what I see. I'm seeing a lot of like I said this in my last live stream a couple of days ago. That there is a lot of people just putting out redundant material over and over and over again, because it sells, and that's fine because that's what they're trying to do, and they're trying to make money, any way they can. But I think that there is I think that could lead to short-term success. It also could lead to long-term failure. I think a lot of the stuff from the Fandom Menace, if we really look at the Fandom Menace, a lot of it is doomed to failure. A lot of the channels that belong to it are doomed to failure. If you look at the long term of this whole process, because we're all let's just look at it this way: we're all centered around this hub called Geeks and Gamers. Okay, this centered Jesus figure of a man, and I'm not calling him Jesus. I'm just saying he's the Jeebus of the group, and so we're all sort of like centered around Jeremy. And I'm not knocking Jeremy. Okay, his success was wonderful, and we all we all should aspire to become as big as him. And that's a wonderful thing, and I'm not taking that accomplishment away from him at all. Nor am I picking on his channel. This has nothing to do with that. What I'm trying to say is that he is the center hub of this, and then everybody else around it is trying to take like little, those birds that sit on the shoulders, of those buffalo or something, or like or of tigers or of lions, and what they do is they eat the scraps of whatever the tiger leaves behind. They're like little vultures that just eat whatever the scraps the lion leaves, and that's sort of what the rest of us are. Not us, but I mean the rest of the Fandom Menace is just a lot of smaller YouTube channels, and there's other YouTube channels that are big as well, but most of them are just trying to feed from that plate, like little scraps from that plate. But the end game is that all of that tends to be fueled by The Last Jedi and where The Last Jedi falls. So like if if Star Wars becomes good and becomes this great and wonderful movie that we all hope it to be, that's what we're doing this for, right? The Fandom Menace, we're all trying to make our movies and television better. And so let's say that happens. Let's say we're all successful in our goal here. And that's the goal, is to make movies and television better. And that happens. There is nothing left to complain about because everything is wonderful and jovial and good in the world of Hollywood. So everybody who built their channel to feed off of that one, which was designed to sort of, center around, fixing Star Wars or fixing this, once it gets repaired, what's left to talk about? What's left are we going to go back for? Then by default, the whole house of cards comes tumbling down. And that's why I'm trying to say it's not saying that we shouldn't voice our opinion on Star Wars or that we shouldn't have opinions on it. That's not the point. What I'm saying is we shouldn't base our channel just around that if we want to succeed in something else. If your entire basis for your channel is just for that purpose and you succeed in that purpose, then that's awesome. That's great. That's what you set out to do. And there's no qualms with that. If your whole purpose is to make sure you fix movies, and then if movies gets fixed, you've accomplished your goal, you've done what you wanted to do, wonderful. Give yourself an applause. And pat yourself on the back for a job well done. And that's great. But then after the after effect will be a lot of I mean, Jeremy will probably be fine because Jeremy's channel is huge. And once you get to that point, I think you can pretty much do anything and probably find an audience because you've already got such a big market. I think he will take a hit, but I don't think it'll be a massive one. But I think the rest of the people who did sort of latch onto that will take the hit. Sorry, let me get to some of you guys here. I went on this little diatribe thing. Missed you, great. I seek Guy Harrison. I seek the truth, no matter where I am, even watching or reading fiction. That's exactly what we all should be doing. That's great. Stormtrooper Babe. Now I'm hungry for meat and potatoes. Did I say meat and potatoes? This is one of my go-to phrases. Meat and potatoes. How do you cook your meat and potatoes, Stormtrooper Babe? Tori LG, yes, I was shocked to have 206 subs. Just my little videos. I'm so humble and amazed. Congratulations, Tori LG, on your 206 subs, man. That's incredible. And I hope you do succeed in what you're here to do. Like, what would be your end game to YouTube, if you don't mind me asking, if you want to put it out there? What's your target? What would you want to achieve with your art? Is you just want to create for the sake of creating? Is there an end goal or an end game to what you're trying to accomplish? because that's what I want us to focus on here is our own channels and our own things. Jake Guy Harrison says there will be new medium like smell-o-vision or holograms, and we'll have to make it better. Yeah, there's always going to be something new. I mean, I just talked about VR the other day, and I love VR, and I'm extremely impressed with the technology. I know the one that I have isn't even the best one, and so to know that there's going to be something better than this, like, can you imagine? I mean, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Can you imagine the holodeck technology coming out one day? Like, how impressive and incredible would that be to actually find yourself in the World Wide Web in some form, whether it's a hologram? You could see, you could be in my living room. Hey, everybody, welcome to Shady Entertaining. This is my living room, everyone. You can see my toys and see and see that I'm not wearing any pants, or any underwear for that matter. Congratulations on knowing the secrets of Shady Entertaining. That's right, guys. I just put a bad thought in all your heads. But yeah, so that's. I really do think that we need to figure out what we're here to do. Because my channel, while I started off doing what I said I wanted to do, which was advertise for my show, it never went anywhere at first, and I kind of changed it, morphed it, kind of got into like keeping it as its own thing. Because a lot of people didn't like the idea that I put out originally, and so I kind of dropped it. I got very discouraged really fast by it. Some people loved it. Some people were like, this is stupid. And I was just like, all right, I'm sorry. And just like, I kind of let that sway me too much. And I kind of gave up on that idea. Well, didn't give up on it, but I just put it away. I never give up on anything. I also have another YouTube channel, which like Black Hat Cinephile does, where I just have my other alias, which is my writing alias. And I have some advertisements on that for my book as well. So there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of things that we use YouTube for as far as that is concerned. But the thing is, when I see the future of YouTube and I see us and our channels, where it's heading and where we're going to go with it, as far as the Fandom Menace and even SJWs and all these other people, I think there's a lot of great potential for YouTube to be a medium that allows us to do something that we normally wouldn't be allowed to do. Not all of us have a film crew, and not a lot of us can have access to television networks and put our channel, like display our talent one way or the other. We always have to be judged for that. Some producer or some casting director or agent has to judge you to put you out there, and so you don't. And a lot of times you get a really small amount of time to prove something, and so. And YouTube gives you the time and the effort to do that. So I really think we got to take care of this medium that we have here, because if we don't take care of it, I think it could die, and I don't want to see it go. I really think it's important. I think it's an important medium that we have. It gets abused, and a lot of us, like everything, abuse these things, and then like how many channels are doing reaction videos now? Like reaction videos. There's like channel after channel of reacting to music, and some of that is okay and fine. I'm not against all of it, but then everybody has to copycat everybody else. Now everyone's doing the exact same thing. This is my outlet for creativity, Toriel G says, and meeting people, maybe work and grow. That's a great way to look at it. To look at that because that's a healthy way of looking at it. I mean, a lot of times I find if you're just doing it for your own passion, and you letting you express your passion outwardly, that it gives you, that's usually where success does tend to follow. Because I find in life, success follows when you're enjoying yourself, when you're having a good time, and when you're doing something you love, and you focus on that. That's usually when you actually do succeed in something. Sometimes when you're trying too hard to be successful and you put too much effort into something, that's usually when I think not failure, but that's when it makes it harder to succeed. And I've heard it from many successful people over and over again that, they do things for the love of it, and then they didn't care about where they ended up, and they ended up as some of the richest people in the world and the most successful people in the world. And then you have some people that they're so determined and they work their asses off 24 hours a day, and they do this and they do that and they manipulate this and they try so hard, and then they never get anywhere. It's weird. It's weird how how sometimes the ebb and flow of luck tends to happen. Because that's another thing. Like I think that I'd like to talk about is because okay, my team, the Raptors, won, and the reason why I bring that up is because it made me really think about what it takes to be a champion in the world. Like whether you're a basketball player or whether you're a YouTuber, whether you want to become like Jeremy, whether you want to become like somebody like that, what does it take to be successful in that, right? And I'm one of those people that I'm always seeking that. I'm always seeking like, how do you be successful in the world? Because what does it mean to be successful? And so when I'm seeking out, I'm always seeking out that answer, right? What am I doing wrong? Am I putting up enough effort? Am I putting in enough effort? Am I offering enough to people? Am I not offering enough? Am I working too hard, not hard enough? And all these things that I question myself with. And why is it that I have a lot of people constantly talking to me going, "Hey Shaney, you're so great, you're so awesome, I love your voices and stuff." And then, but like, how come your channel is only at this level? And how come you haven't succeeded in this? And I don't understand it. I get that as a common thing. It's common that you'll see a few of those on my channel. How come you haven't succeeded yet? And I tell myself the same question. I don't know what to tell people. I don't know. The gods of success haven't showered me with love. That's all I can say. Whatever the gods of success are. But when you see a team that has had a hard time making it somewhere, and then all of a sudden they succeed, and that's sort of what I want to talk about, is how they succeeded. Because I'm not talking about the success itself or the NBA title. What I'm talking about is how a group of people who have failed so many times to make it somewhere, all of a sudden make it somewhere. And to win a championship in any sport, whether it's basketball, you not only need talent, because talent is part of it. You definitely need talent, but you also need a tremendous amount of luck, because a lot of shots that just go, and they go boom, 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 right through the hoop. Those shots you need to make, as opposed to the ones that hit the backboard, hit the net, and then come out. So what is the difference? Why sometimes a shot goes through the net and sometimes a shot goes off the backboard, off the rim, and off the net? Why does that happen sometimes? Black Hat Cinephile, everybody who can outright the hacks that are currently writing our movies and stuff have a responsibility to replace those hacks. Who can outright the hacks has a responsibility. Okay, so what you're saying is that we should, the people here who have the talent, should display our talent to I guess, to get rid of the people with no talent leading Hollywood. See, and that's one thing about YouTube that's phenomenal, though. Actually, you're mentioning it. That is that we can actually demonstrate, through this platform, just how I feel like I work for YouTube, guys. I don't know why. I'm just like really here sitting there going, "You guys subscribe to YouTube today. It's wonderful." No, I just want to see something that I really love, and I enjoy doing. I want to see it succeed. But I really see potential in this. I do see potential in YouTube to replace things like network television. I mean, not that I wanted to see network television end or anything, but I just see network television as the same old, consistently networks telling us what they think we want, throwing, like you said, hack writers into these, because they're friends. It becomes nepotism, where their friends get the jobs, and or their relations get the jobs. My friend's nephew, he's got a job because he wrote for this. All this people. And then there's a lot of that crap that goes involved in Hollywood. Trust me, I know. Not just in Hollywood, but in all the world with everything. And you see that, and you see consistently these people abusing that on television, and it's become to a point where they're just, we'll just throw whatever we want, throw this out, as long as they'll just come back for more, and they're getting lazier and lazier by the minute. The Game of Thrones was the laziest piece of crap, the last season, that I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, it looked like they didn't give a crap at all. It's like there's no trust to the fans. There's no it's such a selfish place, and you see it, and it's consistently selfish. and it's like they don't care about the fans or the people that put into the world to put into these properties. They don't care. All they care about is their own career and what they're going to do next. And it's more and more becoming more and more obvious because we're putting these people on these pedestals like they're gods, and then they act like they're better than us, like they're our betters, and they're not. They're lucky. They're lucky to be where they are. And they don't appreciate where they are. They don't look at themselves as, oh, I'm a lucky guy for achieving what I've achieved. It's like Rose Tico goes and complains about how she was, an Asian and all this stuff. And I'm like, hey, not the girl who played Rose Tico, not Rose Tico herself, the actress. I forgot her name. And I keep thinking to myself, what are you talking about? You're one of the luckiest people I know. You're straight out of college. You barely have a resume to speak of in Hollywood, and somehow you managed to land a big time movie. What do you even have a right to complain about, you personally? It boggles the mind. Toriel G, I make videos and hope people like them, but I do it with love and what I like. Yes, and it shows. I can see that when you do your stuff, it's very poetic and it's an expression of what's inside, and that's wonderful. And you want to share it. That's what art is. Art is people produce art because they want to, it's a form of expression of who they are. And they want to demonstrate. It's almost like a way for us to share a part of our soul. And I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it is true in a way that we want to share a part of our soul, a part of who we are, a part of ourselves that we're kind of maybe even afraid to tell people, but we can do it through anything, any means, believe it or not. I mean, you can do it through your garden. You can do it through your front lawn. The way you arrange your flowers, and people who take pride in their front lawns and how beautiful some of these things are. And they see people walking by and they go, wow, that front lawn is beautiful. And then the person who put together the front lawn looks and says, thank you. I'm so good. I just worked. This is their form of expression. Black Hat Cinephile says, it seems like Game of Thrones was only good in the first place because of Martin. Well, yeah, I mean, that goes pretty much without saying at this point. they pretty much prove that. Because without Martin, it becomes another cliched bunch of hack writers that just, when you have a book to go through, I mean, it makes it easier if you follow that narrative. Now they have, again, with writing in anything in Hollywood, there is nothing pure anymore because it never was pure to begin with, but it's gotten so much worse because you have so many X's to cross. Or checks to cross out or whatever in order before you can make something. So it's like I said before, you gotta, this is the story, boom. But does it have this narrative? Do we talk about SJWs enough? Do we talk about female concerns enough? Do we talk about is Coca-Cola mentioned often? Do we have a Starbucks cup lost purposefully so we can advertise for Starbucks? I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory of mine. Do we have? You know what I mean? All these little things that they gotta, networks say, oh, we can't say this. Oh, we want to steer away from Martin's vision. It was a little too rough. I think we want to get the kids more involved in it because if we can open up Game of Thrones to the kids and make it less horrible, then maybe I'm not saying that's what they did. I'm just giving you an example of network thinking and how it makes something that could be pure and just art and makes it into now you got to work art in between all these other factors. And in the end, you end up with this Frankenstein of a project that doesn't seem to go anywhere. And the worst, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. You have this actor who can only work between these hours, or this actor that says, or this producer that says, my wife is an actor and she wants to be in your show. And so you have to write her this part. And then, or otherwise you're not getting my money. And then you have the actor, so this actor you don't even want in it because the producers or the want him in, and so now you have to deal with her, even though she's a lousy actress. So you got to write her a part, and then the guys, I don't like her part. You got to change your part. Her part doesn't have enough speaking roles. And then you have someone else. Oh, why are you giving that person speaking roles, and they're not even this? Now you got all this crap that you got to deal with when you're making a film, and that's what makes it extra hard to do when you're making something, because you're not like yourself where you just, hey, I'm making a YouTube channel. I only have Shaney to deal with, and I don't have to argue with anybody but myself, right? I only argue with me. And sometimes I do. I'm always arguing, hey, Shaney, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? But that's what makes these projects even harder to do. That's why I kind of like Netflix, because I feel like Netflix is as pure as it's going to get because I feel like they're just out there to put anything out there, and they're desperate for content. So they just like, oh, you want something? You have an idea? Let's put it out there. Is it half decent? Let me look at it. It's all right. Boom, throw it out there. I think right now you see Netflix. It's kind of the closest thing that we have to the 80s, because 80s was just willing to throw out anything, and it could have been successful, and it could have been a failure. And there was a lot of failures in the 80s, but there was a lot of successes in the 80s. And that's what made the 80s so special to me, is that the successes were so unique and audacious in some of the premises, and yet they succeeded somehow. And they were allowed to succeed and fail, because they were allowed to do these things. And I think today, the only thing we have close to that is Netflix, where they just, let's throw a bunch of shit against the wall, see what sticks. And then you're going to get a lot of shit, but you're going to get a lot of good stuff on the wall too. And that's why I think YouTube could be, because YouTube is a free marketplace where we could do whatever we want. And I thought it was going to head to a place where if you had good ideas and good ideas and had some money backing you up, which we could make something a little bit better. And it was heading in that direction, but not well enough, because I think it started to turn. It's starting to turn into this demon, a creature that's just, again, like the news, just feeding off of the negativity, because negativity sells, and reproducing it. And that's sort of what I see there. Dude, can you hear that? I can't. There's a guy outside my apartment who's just whistling. There's like not even a good whistle. Like, I think he was whistling a tune, but he's whistling like it almost sounds like it's my chair, but it isn't. It's just the guy outside there just whistling away, and it's starting to annoy me. But yeah, and why I want us to talk about this is because I just sort of want us to go back to the roots of why we were doing this in the first place. Why you wanted to be a YouTuber, why you wanted to watch YouTube. Here's the thing. I'm going to go on to this Doomcock thing right now, because I'm going to talk about this. You guys know what I'm talking about with Doomcock? Doomcock and William Shatner. You know about that situation where Doomcock and William Shatner got into a tiff about something I don't even know, and Shatner blocked Doomcock from Twitter, right? And so something about that, if you know what I'm talking about, guys. So Doomcock got blocked by William Shatner, and then William Shatner, and everybody ran to Doomcock's help, rescue, and said, please unblock Doomcock from your thing, because he's a fan or whatever. I don't know all the details. I just know the little bits and pieces of it. And then then apparently Shatner said, if you donate $1,000 to my charity, I'll unblock the cock. And so apparently everybody scrambled around. Please help you, Doomcock, from being unblocked from Doomcock from being unblocked from YouTube. From Twitter by Shatner. And so apparently they did manage to raise that money. And then now Doomcock was like, I'm humbled and all that stuff. And then he's like, goes to Shatner and asks him now to do an interview. And then Shatner says, which I think is audacious in a way, because how do you go from a guy, he obviously doesn't like you, for him to have blocked you? Now you think that, and so he only unblocked you because you had enough support to block you. I mean, to make the unblocking happen. So, because I don't think Shatner ever expected Doomcock to actually succeed in that $1,000. So I think it was just sort of, he threw that out there to say, now it'll shut them up, because if they really want to, and I don't think he ever thought that was going to happen. So the fact that it actually happened, and now he's like, oh crap, now I've got to put my money where my mouth is and unblock him. But he doesn't. But I don't think he did it because he likes Doomcock. And so no, Doomcock pushes it further and says he wants an interview with Shatner. And now Shatner is saying, okay, I'll give you your interview if you give me, I think, what is it, $10,000 to my charity now? I think he's going to raise the price every time, because I don't think he genuinely doesn't like Doomcock. I mean, I don't know what happened between the two. I really don't. But something must have happened, and he doesn't like him, but now he's like asking for an interview. So it's like, you're pushing your luck here. And then so now you have a group of people now on YouTube and on YouTube and on Twitter saying, let's get an interview with Doomcock, everybody. And I keep thinking to myself, all right, it's good to give $10,000 to charity. There's nothing wrong with that. that's the positive of all this. But the point is why? Why bother with all this? Why care? Like, I love Shatner. I love Shatner. I'm a big fan of Captain Kirk. I loved Star Trek, and I do love the Next Generation. But what is Shatner going to do for your channel? What does it matter to do an interview? Like, what I'm trying to say is, who is this guy? He's just an actor who played a character you love, who he's now retired. He's sitting, probably in his beach house somewhere, sipping his margaritas, on Twitter all day, getting fatter by the minute. Why do we care what he thinks? He's a person like the rest of us. He's not, God. I mean, it's interesting to have it would be interesting to hear an interview, but I mean, but not to the point where you have to beg someone, and that's where it's like we're begging now for somebody he's not even relevant. He hasn't even been relevant in Star Trek for a long time, So why the begging for this guy's approval? Why the begging for Mark Hamill's approval? They're no different than the rest of us. He's an actor, and we could respect them and we could look up to these people, but they're like the rest of us, and that's the thing. We get so focused on what other people are doing. Focus on us, focus on what you're doing, focus on your success, Doomcock. Focus on making your channel so popular that by putting out creative content that you want to create, that you want to so that you get invited to conferences, and then he has to come onto your channel to advertise something that he's putting out because he begs you for your attention. That's what I'm trying to talk about. We give other people power, but we take away our own, and I don't like that. I think we got to stick to our own guns and say, this is what's important for us. This is what's important for we have to do. We can look up to these people and use them as guidelines and guideposts to be, I want to achieve what this guy can do, and I respect him for what he does, but I'm going to beg him for his approval. Half these people aren't nice people. Black Hat Cinephile says, oh, by the way, hi, SK Wills. How's it going, man? Long time no see. Hope you're feeling better. Hope's all well in your life. I know you've had a hard time. I hope you're feeling better about all that. Black Hat Cinephile says, those people doing all that for the dude, that dude owns those people completely. He could ask for volunteers to be sacrificed to Satan and hands would raise. Are you talking about Doomcock owns those people, or Shatner owns those people? Because it's the same thing with Jeremy. Jeremy has the same sort of cult following. I mean, I don't know how many more people he has to be named Jeremy this, Jeremy that. Why do we have to have 5 million Jeremy channels, named after this guy? And it's just because it's like I said, it's birds eating the plate or trying to eat the scraps from the lion. Don't be a bird trying to eat the scraps from the lion. If the lion goes down, you're going to go down. Don't learn to hunt for yourself. Learn to fly and get the worm for yourself without having to rely on the lion. That he did his job. Good for him. Good for the lion. Good for Jeremy. Good for Doomcock. Good for Shatner. They did what they had to do, and they're making it. And I wish nothing but success for these people. I wish nothing but the best for them. I don't go beg Jeremy for attention. I don't go beg Doomcock for attention. I don't need these people's attention. I would like to have them as a friend, as an ally, as a person to talk to. I don't mind reaching out to them and saying, hey, would you like to be on my channel and talk? But if but I don't need to beg anybody. I don't need to. I'm just sit there and going and through a million videos, just to get someone's attention. Because that's, even if you do succeed in that, what does that do for you? Nothing. Black Cat Cinephile, yeah, that dude who has all those people doing all that for him. Well, yeah, I mean, the fact, listen, I'm pretty sure it must feel amazing for Doomcock right now to have all these people like him so much that they're willing to do that. That's an amazing feeling, and I don't take that away from him. And I'm pretty sure he's feeling really good about himself, and he has every right to, because he's earned that. In whatever way, whether you're a fan of Doomcock's or not, he he earned that right. You know, he worked hard and he got it. Whether we like him or don't like his channel, it's irrelevant. He did it. And so I have to respect that from that perspective. I don't at the same time think that we should validate ourselves and our self-worth by someone else. And that's my point, is that all we do is validate get our validation from other people's opinions. Like, I have to know what 1 million people think of this movie before I can really formulate my vision of what I believe in this movie to be. I have to throw out a million different, watch 1 million different reviews or 1 million different this, just so that I can validate myself. And that's something that I don't think we should be doing. We shouldn't be getting validation from others. I mean, there's nothing wrong with helping other people. We should always help other people. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'll try my best. If I ever reach that pinnacle level, that YouTube success that I have envisioned in my mind, not just YouTube success, but other successes, I will reach down. I've like what Kevin Smith once said. He says that if you reach the top, don't walk through the door and walk away. What you do is, when you reach the top, hold the door open, reach down and help someone else up. It's lonely at the top, and it's good to help others come to the top. That's what I would do. I mean, I know it's easy to say now when I'm not at the top, but when you're at the top of the game, I believe I would be doing. I know me, I know my personality, and I would help as many people as I could. Because I do think it's lonely at the top. I do think that. So I would help as many people, especially the closest people around me would be the first, and then it doesn't matter to help a few people. No, anyway, Black Hat Cinefeld says, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's creepy to me. I never heard of him. I don't gravitate to that sort of thing. It is creepy to me as well. It's a creepy thing. The whole thing is creepy. There's so much to all these things that it is very off-putting. Big government made it up to control us. It was made by the reptilians. There is no top. Top is a scam. Look at us changing topics again. Okay, Wills, you're going to bring this conversation to something that I know. The reptilians. Have you ever seen, there's a British cab driver. He's called Chunky Mark. You ever see Chunky Mark? He's a British cab driver, and all he does is talk. He reads the newspaper in his cab, and he yells at the top of his lungs, "You what? You what? You!" And he says this heavy duty British accent, and he freaks out about everything. And he what I love about he's hilarious, because he talks about he talks a lot about the Queen and how she's this demon seed, and she walks around with her hooves. Like, calls the Queen, says she's got hooves, dancing on the table. and just like, he goes off on reptilians, and these reptilians in government, and he just, like, you can see it in their eyes. He freaks out about it over. And it's just funny because even when you mentioned it, that's what I thought of. Because he's British, and so he sits there and all he does is crap on the Queen left and right. Black Hats NFL said Kevin Nealon did a hike with famous YouTubers one time, and never heard of that guy. Never heard of Kevin Nealon, or never heard of the famous YouTuber. Maybe the reptilians are the good guys. I don't know. If we're going to get into the reptilians, there's so much lore there. I mean, you can go to the Dogon tribe in Africa. I know my things, all right? I know about the reptilians. The Dogon tribe have a whole thing about the reptilians, a whole lore based on the reptilians. So that's a YouTube discussion all onto itself. And it, royalty got the heck of a racket, being born better than everybody else. It's a funny part of people don't realize the British royalty was once abolished in England, and then they begged them to come back because they didn't trust the Quakers. They didn't trust the Quakers who would take over the government, and so they begged the monarchy to come back. This is YouTube, so anyone who disagrees with me politically should be banned. No one is disagreeing with you, SK Wills. No one is disagreeing with you. When it comes to reptilians or any of that stuff, there is not enough actual knowledge to disagree or agree. Yeah, the Puritans. Sorry, I said Quakers, but Quakers were they were. Sorry, I meant the Puritans. You're right. They took over the British. You'd best not disagree. I'm sorry. I shan't disagree with thee, oh Lord Wills. Yeah, no, guys, like kind of Oliver Bloody Cromwell. Yeah, exactly. That's during that time. And then they begged, I think, didn't they begged the royalty to come back just because they, they didn't trust them. And then, so anyway, that's a whole interesting story. I find British history extremely interesting for many, many, many reasons. I actually find if you guys are fans of Game of Thrones and you think that Game of Thrones is harsh, check out the real history and the medieval history. That's way harsher than anything that we've seen on Game of Thrones. To even say that the Game of Thrones comes close to being as harsh as reality it does a disjustice, an injustice to reality, because reality is ridiculously harsh. They didn't cut off people's heads in Game of Thrones and play them and just put them in the gateways when you walk in. Men, women, and children, just their heads in the front of the gate when you walk in. Medieval ended in. This is early modern, not medieval. No, I know that. I know that's not medieval. I'm talking about medieval times, though. I know that wasn't. I'm talking about medieval times. And I'm talking about also the Dark Ages as well. But anyway, stop disagreeing with me. and stop trying to change my topic, because I always get distracted and then I get crap later. So anyway, like my point though is about creativity in ourselves, and like my objective to this discussion was that of taking control and taking power of ourselves and being in control. See how I was trying to relate this with the Raptors, guys, which I kind of got sidetracked on. That was that the Raptors, who a team that was consistently getting called chokers in the playoffs, with one player went from chokers to champs. And I wanted to understand what that was. Was he just that good that he pulled the team up through his physical ability, or was it a psychological thing? And that's sort of what I wanted to kind of unravel here, because I feel like that's the thing. We a lot of us and ourselves, to say that we can't succeed because there's a power that's preventing us to succeed. Well, might be true to a certain degree. I don't know. I do believe that is probably the case with a lot of stuff, that there is a network that is designed to hold classes in place, right? That upper class, lower class, middle class. And we've all been sort of placed in our class at birth. And so what we're told sort of, is to sort of keep us into these classes. But that's not to say we can't break out of these classes. And many times we have. We've seen it happen multiple times where we've seen, people break out. Like Jeremy himself, he's a college dropout, and he's at the top of his class in YouTube. So, and he managed to make it up there. Not to say that there aren't people who have, help in university, and people who are born with what you call real privilege in this world, not your color of your skin, but the class that you belong to is really the privilege that they talk about. Because the funny part about when they talk about white privilege, which I don't subscribe to, I subscribe to class privilege, and I subscribe to maybe expectation, and where we expect of ourselves, and that is usually also part and parcel to what we get when we get held down. It's usually a psychological holding us down, something psychological that's holding us down, as opposed to actually being forced and held down. I think the oppression stems from ourselves, and stems from the oppression of being put down, from birth, to feel like you're worthless, to feel like you're no good, to feel like you have to to look up to a nobility, or to feel like you have to look up to someone and say, hey, you guys are better, are betters, you know? And that's, look what I'm saying. Look at this thing with Doomcock. He looks to Shatner and says, oh, you're my better. Look, I can argue that probably Doomcock is more relevant than Shatner in the last 10 years. Not to say, not trying to build up Doomcock's ego or anything, you know? But I mean, who is Shatner right now? He was somebody. He was somebody, but he's now, like, if you ask the majority of the kids growing up, most people are going to say, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is. Zeta Reticuli, the Greys. Don't go there. Shatner rules the shadow government. He rules the Greys. I'm head of the Grey faction. William Shatner rules the Greys. To boldly go where no YouTuber has gone before to do an interview with William Shatner. That's so. My point is, like, we got to stop. We got to stop with this whole just putting these people on pedestals. We're the ones making them our betters. We're the ones who look at these people, whether they're the Queen, whether they're Shatner, or whether they're Doomcock or Jeremy. And we look at them and we go, look at their success. They're better than us. And we got to feed off of their success. We got to latch onto that for some reason. When we shouldn't have to do that. You know, we shouldn't have to latch onto other people's successes. We should look at ourselves and look at our own success, you know. And the reason why I brought the Raptors, and I keep changing, is because Kawhi Leonard, who was the came in, called the other team right off the bat and said, who was a champion before, and he knows what it takes. He knows his worth. He knows what he can do. And he believed in himself, and he believed what he could do with the team. And he called the team and said, right before the season, said, let's do something special here. Let's win a championship. And there was no doubt in his mind he was going to do it from day one. And he did it. He achieved it because he believed in himself, and he put himself in that. And he not only did he believe in himself, he believed in himself so strongly that he carried the team to believe in themselves as well. That even at the end, when he wasn't shooting so well, it didn't matter because the rest of the team followed him, and the rest of the team believed in themselves through attrition because he believed in the team and he believed in himself. And I want us to do that. I want us to start believing in ourselves. I want us to stop looking up to celebrities, looking up to people on YouTube, looking up to these other people and saying, look, you know, there's nothing wrong with looking up to them and saying, I want to achieve what they've achieved, but to grovel beneath them, to donate your money so that this person can have success. Do you think Doomcock gives a crap about the rest of you people? I'm talking about the people who donated, like, who were, like, if you really care about that charity, good for you. But if you did it because you think Doomcock's going to give you something for it, well, I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. It's not going to happen. Black Hats NFL. We would respect and admire the elite status and success if they didn't use it against us. They should just go yachting and enjoy their wealth and leave us alone. The Ween is more than just a person. There is a role that position plays. If not her, elected president would do it. The crown is socially needed. We need a queen, a bishop, a manager, just doing things that people who fulfill these RLS are infallible gods and respect the office. Whether we need the queen or not, that is sort of an interesting topic. You know, I've been of the. I believe that everybody needs a manager of some sort, because or something to look up to. We do need that. We do need a captain. We need a leader. We need something to aspire to, because a lot of us are lost. A lot of us don't know how to be anything. We just sort of get lost. And yeah, sometimes we do need to look up to something, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's, you know, and then by just default, they become our betters because we look to them, and they become even the way we treat Luke Skywalker. Even the way we treat Luke Skywalker becomes that way, because Luke Skywalker, look at why we hate what happened to Luke Skywalker, because we looked at him as a benchmark for our lives to an extent. You know, even though he's a fictional character, we still thought of him as a real character in some way, because we looked at him and we thought that this guy, you know, went from being a farm boy farming moisture. I still can't get over farming moisture. To killing Darth Vader, or not killing Darth Vader, but beating the Empire and becoming a powerful Jedi. And so we see ourselves in that role somewhat, and we go we say, well, maybe we can achieve what he did, and so his accomplishments become real to us. I know people who look up to Arnold Schwarzenegger like he's a god because of all of his accomplishments. And people who look up to anybody, and that's moisture was slang term for marijuana. That's probably the best example or the best comment to that I heard. Explanation for the moisture farming. So he was they were marijuana farmers. That's actually pretty funny. Uncle Owen was into drug selling. Oh my God, that's hilarious. I don't know if you're being serious or not, and it doesn't even matter because I just still think that's funny. But yeah, like I said, guys, I just want us to sort of focus on ourselves and focus on our goals and stop making people into deity and God figures, because we could look up to them, we could respect them, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with having leaders. Leaders take the leadership roles, and we need leaders. There's nothing wrong with leaders. But also, you can't treat a leader like he's benevolent, because then they become corrupt. And that's what you're seeing at the top levels, which is what they're talking about, the corruption. These people become less about expectation, or less about leadership, and more about expectation, where they expect to be, they start believing the hype. And what happens is, if you give them the hype, they believe the hype, and then the hype, because they become corrupt, because then they start believing that they're omnipotent because we treat them that way. And now they start looking down on us like we're peasants, even because we're not their better, because they feel like they're our betters, because we built them that way. So that's what I mean by a balance, guys. We got to stop that. We got to start looking into ourselves, making ourselves feeling better about ourselves. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having leaders. There's nothing wrong with having guideposts. I'm not anti-religion, and if you think religion is something that you need to aspire to become good, then do it. I have nothing against any of that. The point is that when you regulate your life and you pattern who you are, like you call yourself like a Jeremy, like one of those Jeremy channels. Well, I'm nothing against those guys. I know some of them are nice people, but I'm proper Jeremy. I'm tank engine Jeremy. I'm teapot Jeremy. I'm toilet Jeremy. I'm weird hair Jesse Milestone. I'm Jesse Milestone's nose hair. Why? As soon as if I become successful, we're gonna have Shaney's nose hair channel. I'm Shaney's toys. I'm Shaney's voice channel, because they somehow want to milk that. I don't know. Maybe that's an advertisement for Jeremy. Maybe it's even more than that. I don't know. Maybe Jeremy pays them to advertise by making their channels that way. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of that situation. I just know that I'm Shady's murderous alter ego. Yeah. Nice sinister side that comes out in the middle of the night and ravages havoc on the universe. Go up and down my building, just knocking on doors and leaving poop bags. That's my evil side. But yeah, like I just say, like, that's why I want us to do this. I want us to look at what we're here to do. I want us to focus on what we're here, what we want, and go for it. Go for the goal, and believe in yourself, man. That's what I want us to do. Believe in yourself. Doomcock doesn't need Shatner's approval. He doesn't. Shatner's not going to do anything for his channel. Even if he gets his interview, what is that going to do? Is that going to boost his channel to superstardom? Or is that just bragging rights to say, I got Shatner to do an interview? And yeah, everyone will be all in the fandom minutes will be all, hey, you see this interview? And they'll share it for a good month or so, or a couple of weeks, and then it'll fizzle out. And it's not going to really grow his channel or make his worth anymore. And even if he does gain subs because of that, the people are gaining subs because they like that Shatner interview. How many people are going to, then he's going to go back to doing his old stuff. And then, he's going to lose all those subs because they were there for that. And now he's going to find a way to find interviews with everybody else. So now he's got to beg more celebrities to do interviews so that he can keep up with it. But instead of focusing on his work and what he needs to do to build his channel himself, these are little loopholes that people try to do. Like I need to reach to Doomcock, so Doomcock can give me a couple of shout outs, and then all the people who are fans of Doomcock come and give me subscribe to my channel. Next thing you know, I got to start acting like Doomcock because my channel becomes most of the people who were his supporters have to follow me. So now I have to pattern my channel after his, and then I lose my voice in the process, and then I lose focus on what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, guys, if we're trying to use success in that and gain success of our channel that way, that's not a good way to do it. That's going to lead to your channel either being something it was never set out to be, and that's okay if that's fine by you, if you're just in it for the money and you don't care, and you don't care how you get it, and you don't care about what content you do. I just think that in the long term, that sort of philosophy will break this channel break it down into nothing, and it'll become as bad as Hollywood. It'll become as bad as the news. It'll become as bad as everything else we see in this world, and that's a shame. That's crying shame in my eyes. And I'm going to leave it there, guys. That's where I'm going to leave this discussion. I'm really glad you guys are here to talk about this with me. SK Wills, you're funny as usual. Black Hat Cinephile, glad you always come now. You're like a regular. You're like a regular to me. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna head out. I got a lot of things I got to do. Still got to work on some videos of my own and my own content, and worry about my own stuff that I'm working on, and I am doing it. And that's it, guys. So if there's nothing else left to say, if anyone else has anything, a future project of mine Black Hat Cinephile says. To redo Fandom Menace, we'll have an Anakin as teenager Shim, his mom Baru, his sister Owen, his brother-in-law. They struggle with the farm, so Anakin pod races for prize money. Sounds interesting. Let me know when that gets done. Goodbye. I shall languish in anticipation for the next video, as you should. I don't want to see you doing anything fun until my next video, SK Wills. Or by gall. Hey guys, if you guys also, I'm going to put this out there for anybody else. Shaney does voices. And if anybody out there wants check out my repertoire, so to speak. If anybody wants me to participate or help you with videos, doing some voiceover dubs or whatever, or help you write something, because I'm also a writer. If you want, help me, doing some comedy writing or whatever. I'm open, guys. I'm open to discussion. We can, you can talk to me, ask me anything, I'm willing to help anybody. I offer my services, for that. I didn't like Darth Vader being a slave. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's a whole different subject. And at least if they made him a slave that was almost torturously a slave, he was too happy of a slave. He was like a kid that was like, I'm a slave. Like, he didn't seem like, at least if you're going to be a slave, be a real slave. Be someone who's just like, has shackled to the wall, someone who's like, really suffering something that if he does snap, there's a reason for his snapping. Not someone who seemed like he had a really good childhood, other than the fact that he just, he just couldn't do anything. I mean, it seemed like his childhood wasn't that bad, other than the fact that he was owned. Actually, most slaves were not abused. Here we go with reality. Stop filling my head with facts. Slaves were more experienced, so they were not generally mistreated like that. I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, on that note, guys, though, I am going to leave and say my goodbye. Well, I mean, I do agree with that. If they're expensive, you don't want to treat them that bad. In the fact that because you still need them to work hard, so you can't you know, if you own something, you don't want to see it broken down. You need it to work properly. So I do agree with you. But he just seemed a bit too happy as a slave is what I meant. Anakin, little Anakin. I mean, Shmi seemed like a little bit more reasonable the way she sounded or acted, but he always seemed like a kid that was always, you know, I guess he didn't understand what was going on, maybe, because he's a kid still. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. So anyway, I'm going to leave this time. I will talk to you guys later. And till next time, guys. I haven't done this before in a long time.